9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling network on the planet.
Happy Monday, y'all. Happy Monday. Welcome to Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. My name is TK Trinidad. Welcome to WWT Live, the Monday edition. And I am not alone. The PR princess herself, coming back from doing a lot of work this weekend. Courtney Rice is in the building.
A lot of work, but it was all good work.
It is. We're going to go into it. First, shout out to Eric and Lewis in the chat. So Courtney, you had a chance to go to the 90s wrestling con that happened on Saturday. So tell me about the experience, because obviously you saw the pictures. Y'all, there's a lot of stuff, y'all, that's coming down the pipe as far as interviews. But yeah, tell us about the experience.
So it was really nice. And also I have to give a shout out to ISPW for having us come to the table, because if we were actually the only table that had pink tablecloth, everybody had like throwback blue. So that's what makes us stand out. But anyways, it was really nice seeing all the wrestlers from the 90s reminisce on everything that happened in the 90s. Mm-hmm. Of course, Francine, Maria was there. We also got to see Mark Henry, who's also CEO of our sponsor, All Caribbean Wrestling, was there. So it was nice that we did get an interview with him to talk about everything that he had planned. I also had the chance to dabble with Bell to Bell, which is an all-women's independent wrestling scene that I got to work with since last year. So I got to talk with the inaugural Diamond Champion, Gabby, and she was very nice on that. So we do have interviews. We got a lot of content coming. Honey and I were actually in the ring. We actually got into a wrestling ring for the first time.
Okay.
Never got into a ring, and it was very nice. And they actually had a show in the middle of 90s Con, so that was really cool that they had an independent show. But yes, lots of content to come. Such a fun event, and I believe they posted on their Instagram they're going to do it later this year.
Oh, they're going to do another one?
Yeah, in the fall.
Okay. All right. Well, there it is. Shout out to Bosa and Special Little Nobodies in the chat. Was there one, if you can, I guess, sum it all in one word, what is one word that would describe the event?
It was definitely, I highly recommend if you're ever in New Jersey, it was definitely memorable. The fun part about it was seeing the cosplays. People, it was like from Dusty Rhodes to the Macho Man, he was in the NWO. We got to see the Big Boss Man, Mankind. It just kind of took you back to the 90s, and it was just very rare, especially in wrestling time, because of course the Attitude Era came in, and you had the early 90s where of course it was like Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Undertaker, The Rock. But it just really brought a reminiscent, and I did like the music choice they had where it was specifically all 90s, which was awesome.
Nice. Now, with that being said, going on to a little sad news. Sabu passes away at 60. I mean, it's always sad news when somebody passes away, but he was so impactful in the industry. Do you have any moments or anything, that's like when he did pass away, that was just like, that came to your mind?
Ironically enough, because yesterday I was actually out at brunch with my mom for Mother's Day yesterday, and the news broke out because Fightful broke it out. And then I was like, huh, what? So I had to look through some of the news to make sure it was legit and it wasn't fake news. But it did come back a few hours later that it was confirmed that he was passed away. And I actually had the chance to meet him back in 2022 at the 2300 Arena when they did a meet and greet. And I had the chance to interact with him for a couple minutes. And he did seem very down to earth, and also the contribution to the ECW. And we did see a lot of stars over the weekend that made their tributes. Of course, Rob Van Dam, Taz, everybody in the ECW realm, all the wrestling promotions, WWE, AEW, TNA, every single one just paid respect and just showed how much importance that he had. I do believe that they are going to, I would hope all the wrestling promotions this week do like a possible tribute to him. I know for WWE, they'll probably do something. of course, at AEW, knowing Taz, he'll probably be at the forefront doing a tribute to Sabu for Wednesdays and also for TNA on Thursdays. But he really put a lot of contribution in, and he will be missed. And ironically enough, if you follow Dark Side of the Ring, they're going to highlight his uncle, the Iron Sheik, tomorrow. No, not the Iron Sheik, the original Sheik tomorrow.
And yeah, you mentioned as far as wrestlers, paying their tribute. So Sami Zayn said that he wanted Sabu to be in the WWE Hall of Fame, which, I mean, oh my gosh, this is so crazy. I just had like a mind warp. I thought we were like getting ready for a WrestleMania. Like I felt like I was in November for some reason, which is clearly not what it is. But yeah, so Sami Zayn said he should be inducted to the Hall of Fame, which wouldn't be a bad idea. So I wonder if they're gonna do that. Do you agree, or do you feel like it's too early to call it?
I would have loved to do it. I mean, I know Sammy was trying to push it right before his passing, but this is unexpectedly. I would love for him to be inducted next year when they go to New Orleans in the Big Easy, and that would be a really great opportunity. Of course, we did see him back. Oh my God, I forgot what year it was, 2003, 2004, when he inducted his uncle in the Hall of Fame alongside Rob Van Dam. So that would be a really good full circle moment for him if he was inducted. The question is, if he is inducted, it would be who would be the person to induct it, because there's a lot of options for Sabu. As I mentioned, Rob Van Dam, Paul Heyman. Pretty much you could pick out anybody from the ECW bubble that's not signed with other wrestling promotions.
All right. So RIP Sabu, and rest in power. But let's get into, speaking of power, let's get into Backlash. Woo! Man, I got to watch this on the treadmill yesterday, so it was good. Before we go kind of doing the whole recap, what did you, out from 1 to 10, how would you rate Backlash?
I actually gave it a 7. I gave it a 7 only because of that women's match and the Fatal 4-Way match. Those are really good matches. I know we're going to get deep into this, but I'm very surprised Pat McAfee stayed that long in his match against Gunther. I thought it was a squash match, but he kind of stayed in. I was very impressed with that. I was like, okay. And also sooner or later, Finn is going to turn on Dominic Mysterio. Of course, we saw a glimpse of a El Grande Americano. He kind of screwed Penta, so I'm pretty sure we'll see a lot of him. Also, the main event, seeing John and Randy. It was a good match. It was a really good match, and it just felt really weird because you attacked referees, you also had security come out, RKO and everybody, and then R-Truth came in, and then actually before we got here, I actually did watch a press conference. It was just R-Truth and John Cena.
Oh my gosh, is that what? Oh, okay, I need to.
Yes.
What was? Oh, I remember what I was doing. But the man with the master plan, our councilman, I'm so happy to have Will Ferrell is here.
That was a great intro. Thank you. Thank you.
A
good time, not a long time.
I'm gonna leave that one alone. But with that being said, we're just getting into some Backlash discussion. So I asked Courtney, rating at 1 through 10, how would you rate Backlash from yesterday or from Saturday?
I give it an 8 out of 9.
John 8 out of 9.
Yeah, I said what I said.
Okay, all right.
8 out of 9. John Cena and them definitely brought it to an 8 for the show. The other matches were like checked off the boxes what they needed to do. The opener, of course, just ridiculous. Have my opinions on that match as well, but I'm sure we'll get into it. Then you just had one match that was absolutely trash and was a blight on the WWE industry in a whole, which was Gunther versus Pat McAfee.
You said it's trash. Well, let's get into that match. Why do you think it's trash?
So that match showed me everything that what we be looking at the problem was that match. One, it was way too long. It was way too long for the world champion to be dog walking a dude who couldn't even jump over the top turnbuckle with Jordan fucking 11s on, which you shouldn't be wearing in the ring to begin. And
I saw that when he walked out. I was like, "Is that what he's wrestling?"
I thought at least he would have wore some wrestling boots, like decent
or
wrestling
something.
boots.
I was like, "Oh, you just okay."
but this is the problem. And I was like, this match right here showed me no one is, you're no longer allowed to talk shit about Logan Paul. Like, the Logan Paul crapping has to stop now just because of what we saw. As much as you may not like him, you have to respect that this dude took coming into this seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Some of you can feel a way of like, hey, you know, he's jumping the line because of his social status. Hey, when you pulling in the dollars, you get to reap the benefits of it. But you can tell that this dude does not half-ass any of this. This guy takes this very seriously when he steps in the ring. And you can see the subtle differences between him, not even subtle, very obvious differences between him and Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee is a fan. Pat McAfee did not take this seriously. He did not go into training and get himself prepared for this match. You saw it with majority of it. He relied on his athletic ability to be able to do that match rather than really work to do what needed to be done. And then the fact that you're going to diminish our former world champion by allowing this dude to take chops by not tapping out, it's like, and then just to add insult to injury, you're going to give him the sign of respect? I was like, that's where I got to draw the line. I thought that was foul. I was like, I get Gunther has been 87% of his career has been being a champion. So of course you're gonna have to have that period where I like to call it the James Ellsworth era.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta have your James Ellsworth moment. And like AJ Styles had to do. And I will take that. I will understand that, you know, we gotta see the decline for the Gunther story. But all that showed me was, keep him, dog, like, do commentary, dog. Do commentary. Don't step in here no more. Don't do that.
So
you're not gonna take it seriously. Don't step in here.
So here's the question: was it all planned out? Meaning, you know, him say let's say hypothetically he had been working out. He was preparing for this match. But say the goal for this match was to show him as a true like underdog, like to suspend belief and say, you know, you insulted my friend or you attacked my friend. I'm going to stick up for him. And, you know, I'm just doing it out of, you know, just gut and will. And that's the reason that he came in with the Jordans. Thus, I mean, I don't think the top rope thing was, definitely think that was an accident. He really did meant to jump over it. But the length of it, do you think that was all planned out?
Oh, no, it was planned out. Like like you said, if we see in the writer's room when this documentary comes out, we know what this was supposed to do. And it worked. This is supposed to be for that everyday man, for that one when you go to the Ohio Domes. Yeah. Yeah.
Was it 15 minutes? It was kind of long.
Yeah, it was much that long. And also with the fact too, you have to understand like who's his audience for his show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
That is something you have to think about.
Yeah, and that's what we saw. Like, he's gonna take this story and all them frat boys are all that's gonna come to WWE. Mm-hmm. But my question is, at what point do you start to kind of sully your product so you can bring this audience in? And then are you thinking about the ones who are here, who are diehard, who will continue to be here if you're going to water down the product like that? So it's just like, while I get it, it was like, was it necessary? Like, did we need that?
Yeah.
And so until I see the benefits of it, that's why I'm still questioning and feeling the way I feel about it. Because I still don't see the benefit of that happening. Like, Luther is somebody, bro, like, he's choked out people at one turn and then tapped out. And we sitting here saying Pat McAfee is just that dude for 15 minutes in the ring with a world champion who's been wrestling for over 20 years.
Yeah. I definitely think they could have cut it in half. They could have did it by like 7 minutes.
8 minutes time.
Right. And he should have definitely like the handshake at the end. Don't think that should have happened, because then it also like it feels like, to me, I'm one of those people, like, if you're gonna be a bully, then be a bully all the way. Like, you can't, you know, and on top of that, you won. It's not one of the things like he got one off and then, you know, he tapped out. So it's kind of one of those things where it's just like, nah, I beat you. And then I really thought, you know, he should have beat him, gave Michael Cole the middle finger, and then walked off and called it a day. Like that part was kind of, that's where I think I was talking to somebody about this yesterday, where it's like, and even they mentioned it today when I was at the gym, it's one of those things where it's hard to believe things anymore that happen on television, from wrestling to action movies, stuff like that. Like, it's one of those things like, nah, he should have beat the brakes off of him, 7 minutes tops, and, you know, and call it a day. But, and then I think even if it was like 3 minutes, there's still enough for Pat to talk about the next day.
Yeah.
Like,
yep.
Because either way, he still got choked out and beat.
Yeah, but and then he still can deliver the result of, yo, I stepped in, he can take the CM Punk route. I didn't give up. I didn't step out. I took my ass whooping like a man, and hey, I'm standing here the next day. I'm gonna stand for mine. And then that be it. But you 15 minutes, like, yo, this is what you do? Nah. And you gonna say, I got respect for you? Like, yo, I ain't never seen a bully do no shit like that in my life.
Nope.
I ain't never seen a bully get his ass up and be like, yo, man, good shit, dog. Like, nah, I'll see you tomorrow. Round 2.
You know what part? So I watched this Sunday morning, and I go to this like boutique gym. And so I'm in the gym 6 o'clock in the morning watching this. And you know what part out of the whole PLE that had me like screaming at my phone? When Michael Cole went to the ring, and then Wade's like, well, it's on you. I'm like, wait, isn't he a former wrestler? He just gonna let this man
Wade Barrett,
and then
remember he wrestled.
And then Gunther just brought him, like, so you're not gonna step up and also like you just gonna stay on commentary. This one, and obviously I know somebody has to be on commentary, but it's just like, for real, this is what you're just gonna let him do that? You're not even gonna pretend to take your headphones off and yell at him. You're just gonna.
Nah, wait.
That part had me like, wait, what? This is
that's the realest moment. That was the realest moment right there. Just like,
Wade's like, I'm not doing nothing. I'm right here.
Any dude,
the only wrestler between the three of those guys.
Hey, he was like, listen, after I saw him doing chops with the resistance band, he was like, I don't want none of that fight. I don't want none of that. I'm too old to be taking no chops like that.
That's crazy.
That's what you want to do? You go do. Hey, I have no problem commentating Raw. Somebody has to tell the story.
like you just gonna stay there? Like,
hey man, Joe Tessitore here. Who gonna do it if both y'all out? If both y'all gone, who gonna do this?
See, what I would have liked to happen is if Wade got up and then they had somebody like, somebody from commentary in the back, like they're in catering and they're like, gosh, and you have them running like, taking over while Wade actually fights the fight. Like, I would have liked, that would have been an interesting twist, but for Wade to just sit there.
That shit was hilarious. Wade is the realest one for that one. He was like, this y'all fight. This y'all fight. Y'all knew what y'all was saying. Y'all knew what y'all was talking about. Y'all, hey, you was writing checks. Your mouth can't cash. And here you go. Not my fight.
Thank you for the job.
Yeah, man. Pat, stay on commentary, dog. Unless you're going to really get in the ring and take it seriously, nah. Because them flips you was missing, them landings you was missing, getting on that top rope. Now you putting another wrestler in danger that's trying to carry you. And for what? Just so the frat boys can be like, you did it, Matt. You did it, Pat.
Yeah.
You did, boy. You did it, hey, man. You remember back in 2025 when you went up against that big son of a bitch that was chopping you, putting you to sleep, but you didn't tap out though. Like what?
Yeah.
Like Gunther deserves so much better than this. Like don't do this to Gunther. Don't do this.
Yeah.
I can't even call him the ring general no more. I'm like, generals don't do that. Generals don't give no dude like that respect. There was nothing to respect in there.
Yeah, pretty much. I think for me, my beef is with Wade. But it is what it is.
My beef now is with The Rock. Rock messed up. The Rock messed up. He told on himself. My boy told on himself. Yep. Y'all didn't put it together?
Explain.
No, explain.
Fatal 4-Way. Who premiered at Fatal 4-Way last night?
Jeff Cobb.
The Rock is with the Temu bloodline. He is with Solo. He is with Tama Tonga. He is with all of them. That's his bloodline. When we finally get the tribal civil war, that's the side that he's on. He just told on himself. With the post he put with the Rubik's Cube and the New Japan sign, he let us know which side he on. And the person that's going to be in the middle of all of this, Jacob Fatu. He gonna be the Hulk in this whole situation. One of them are gonna try to convince him to get on their side. They're gonna be like, "All right, this y'all fight. I came here to do one thing, and that's dog walk people. That's it."
I like that. I missed that cue, but I like that. So with that being said, do you think? So the question is, are we thinking Rock is that? When do you think the Civil War is gonna happen?
Probably closer to Survivor Series. I think closer.
Really?
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. It has to be Survivor Series.
You don't think it's gonna be a WrestleMania thing?
No, I think we get to it with Survivor Series, and where it culminates at WrestleMania is Roman versus Rock.
Okay.
And I think that's gonna be Rock's last match. And I think that's when Rock will be officially done. He'll be like, "Yo, I'm not stepping in the ring no more." And that might be where Roman walk off.
Well, speaking of that, let's talk about the Fatal 4-Way with Jacob Fatu, LA Knight, Damian Priest, and Drew McIntyre. So, Courtney, what did you think of this match?
Woo! That's the way to start a show with that Fatal 4-Way. That was just insane because everybody was chanting for Fatu. I mean, they were chanting for LA Knight, but I don't know why. But it's like almost every single person that was going against Jacob, they were booing them. And I was just like, man, you were booing LA Knight. But people were rooting for Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest. I was very surprised Jeff Cobb was coming out. I really thought he was going to come out in the main event. But then when I looked past it, and Jacob had this look on his face where he looked puzzled, like, what's going on here with Jeff Cobb? So that was very interesting. But they did put a really good match in. I'm just very curious on how the title rates. I mean, it's going to obviously lead to Solo versus Jacob somewhere down the line. And also seeing who's going to be the next contender for that U.S. title belt. Also, depending what's going to happen with the draft, because I don't know if they're going to start either tonight or this week or next week, but it's going to be depending on with the WWE draft.
And Will?
I mean, it was just a fun ride all the way through. Like, no notes. Like, even with Damian Priest and them, I was like, okay, I like this still. Sorry. My apologies. I do have to take this call.
All right. Well, while he's taking the call, I really did like this match, and I think what's gonna be next for Jacob, because he did walk off. He's like, what's going on? It's like you tried to help, but like you tried to help, and obviously you were successful, but I didn't need your help. So what do you think is going to be next for Jacob?
I think he's going to confront Solo on what's going to happen. Also, the reasoning why he brought in Jeff Cobb at Backlash. Because he took out some... Oh, yeah, we got to talk about that. We got to talk about else what happened later in it. I understand the reference from said. But anyways, going back to my point, it's going to be very curious because Jeff Cobb took out LA Knight. So I'm sure LA Knight's going to want retribution against him.
Right.
But also Jacob wants to know what's going on. Even though he said, I can do it by myself. So there's going to be a lot of friction happening on SmackDown. And then obviously, of course, Damian and Drew are going to beat the hell out of each other because that rivalry is going to be pretty much ongoing.
Right. So because Will did make reference to it. So do you think that we're going to have a Jacob and Solo match for SummerSlam? Or you think it's going to be played out a little bit, like it's going to extend a little bit more?
I think it's going to probably lead into SummerSlam. It's going to be probably leading into SummerSlam because it's the pieces are there. And also both Tonga brothers are supposed to be back soon from injury. So they need at least something. Like, this is the first 2-night event that they're going to have. Of course, they're going to have Cardi B hosting, but if they really
Oh my
want to,
gosh.
if they really want to go all out with this first 2-night SummerSlam, they have to put in Solo versus Jacob.
For night 1.
Yes, I would say first night for SummerSlam.
Yeah, I like that. I'm just so I feel like, okay, we do Solo versus Jacob, and I feel like Jacob's gonna win, or maybe Solo wins due to some sneaky shenanigans.
Well, I feel like Solo needs a win because he hasn't had his win-loss record is not that great.
Mm-hmm.
He needs to get a win because Jacob's just been on fire since he first got into WWE. So I think Solo definitely needs to win a lot more than Jacob.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it's a possibility because I would think Jacob would still be U.S. champion. I would not be surprised if that title was up for grabs at SummerSlam.
And then you think that Solo would
get the title because almost
And that-
everybody within that Team New Bloodline had gold except him.
right. And then that will lead him on this warpath to try to get it back, and he might align with the original.
Yep. That man's hungry. Solo looks like he's hungry for gold.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of gold, so we have the Women's Intercontinental Championship match, Lyra Valkyria versus Becky Lynch. Lyra takes the W. What do you think of this match?
This was sleeper match of the night right there.
Really?
I actually did enjoy because I know everybody said the best match of the night was a Fatal 4-Way because everybody said, oh, that's the best match. This was sleeper match because one, this was the first time you had either mid-card titles on a PLE this year. And also, this really gave a good showing on who Lyra Valkyria is.
Mm-hmm.
And also, in the audience, if people did not know, that was her fiance.
Yeah.
Becky was talking trash. But in all seriousness, Lyra did put on a really good match. And it really did help captivate the Women's Intercontinental Championship a little bit for Lyra. Because I know when she first won it, she was struggling a bit. But this was actually a thought Professor put on. And it wasn't just the promos of Lyra, it was the character development in that title. Because if you look at what Chelsea Green did with that US title, she just did it on fire. If it was something that Lyra would have done, not similar to Chelsea, but at least a playbook of her own, that would have at least captivated, along with, this is no shade against Dakota Kai or Zoe Starks or like Ivy Nile, but just finding credible challengers for Lyra. And I think will take her to the next level. Of course, we'll probably see her and Becky go round 2. I would like to see, and this is actually very interesting because I was thinking about this in my head because, of course, Bayley wants retribution for Becky. I believe, and I would not be shocked if Becky did this, she could find retribution too, and this could lead to Zoe Starks going up against Lyra. Because it's like when I was thinking about this too, because after Shayna Baszler got released and Sonya Deville, she's in the back at catering. And she could be a credible challenger.
Right.
To Lyra Valkyria. I mean, she has the assets of being a strong heel.
Right.
So that could lead into something.
And now she has the reason too, because even when we interviewed her, I think like a year or 2 ago, and she's done other interviews since then, she's made mention of the fact that she's ready for the strap, but it's like she'll be something close, like, you know, she worked the angle of Trish, etc., and it's just kind of like, oh yeah, we're using you for this, but now we don't need you anymore. Like she can use that all as far as her momentum to, you know, campaign for that, especially since you're right, she's back in catering.
And also with the fact too, because I would like to see her go for mid-card title gold. I would like to see her, you know what, how come I didn't get a shot for the Women's Intercontinental title? How come Ivy Nile and Dakota Kai was able to get shots? Why not me?
So yeah, I like this, and I definitely do think that they're gonna run it back too. Do you think it's going to be run back SummerSlam, or is it going to be run back in between? Well, not even SummerSlam. We have Money in the Bank. So actually, now I think about it, do you think Jacob and Solo is going to run it Money in the Bank? Because they need something for Money in the Bank.
Yeah, they need something for Money in the Bank, but I would say SummerSlam because there's a lot of matches. Because, of course, you have to think about Saturday night's main event, Money in the Bank. We'll talk about this later, but we did get a match announced for Saturday night's main event. For Money in the Bank, obviously, we're going to have both ladder matches. I'm sure Tiffy will have a match at Money in the Bank for her title.
Right.
So, and I think right now, because every match they have is 5 matches for every PLE. So it's kind of, and there's a lot of stories that they can work with. But I would not be shocked if there was a cash-in during Money in the Bank. And also with John, too, because with John and R-Truth, that could happen either Money in the Bank, that could happen at SummerSlam.
Oh, R-Truth is everything. We have Maria saying that Rusev is going to be winning Money in the Bank. It's possible.
It is
kind
possible.
of give him something to do.
Give something to do, but I think I mean, if Honey was here, or Will, I know he's going to be hopping up shortly. I would like to see Karrion Kross or maybe Carmelo Hayes get Money in the Bank this year.
And here we go. Because I think it was who made mention. It was Bosa made mention of Evolution, because I feel like they hadn't talked about it in a while. So Evolution. They're eyeing the weekend of July 12th. It's kind of funny that because that's the same weekend for AEW.
Yeah,
July
same
12th.
weekend as All In.
Interesting.
That was very interesting.
It's also said that it's not officially confirmed yet, and we're already in May. So you tell me that you have all the other PLEs, even have shows for next year confirmed, but you don't have Evolution confirmed?
It's really odd that
which is like 2 months from now.
And you tried to do it on the same weekend as All in Texas. See, normally I would save everything Wednesday, but Tony Khan, if you really want to go all out for All in Texas, and I know we've always given criticism for the women's division, put more women's matches in All In. That's all you got to do. Just put more women's matches in.
Well, my question is this. As somebody, obviously, Courtney is our AEW, resident AEW expert. My question is this. Like, yes, we would like to see more women's matches AEW, but does the majority of people who AEW is catering to, do they want to see more women's matches?
It's really interesting because, and I didn't even mention this when I was at 90s Wrestling Con, I actually talked to a few fans and they actually want to see women's matches. They really do. When I was talking to people, they were kind of saying the same thing I was saying. They really want to see a lot of women's matches. It's just, obviously, I mean, I love my client, Tony. I love her with all my heart, but I just think they need to do a lot of storylines that are outside the title picture. And said this probably last week or a show I wasn't even on, because I know, of course, they have the Owen Hart women's match between Mercedes and Jimmy Hayter. Toni Storm obviously is going to face somebody at Texas. I know people are saying Mercedes, but it's a possibility. She could get screwed at Double or Nothing, and that could lead to Athena and Mercedes, because I could see them probably being round 2. And then also there's another storyline that's actually 2. Marina Shafir and Willow. That could possibly happen at All in Texas, because with Double or Nothing, they're going to have anarchy in the arena, but it's just who's going to be involved. And then also another thing with Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford taking on Anna Jay and Harley Cameron. So that's an interesting storyline because they're keeping Megan Bayne in the bubble, but it's not like fully towards the title picture. So they are incorporating a little bit of storylines. It's just consistency.
Another thing that somebody may mention that hopefully Tony Khan sees and does which WWE kind of missed the mark of that. The uniting of the UFC 4 horsewomen.
Yeah. Mm.
Like, we saw Ronda did the one-off, and I'm sure she'll do the one-off again because all 3 of those women are her good friends.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, run that back. But yeah, it's sorry to I was like, wait, where? Because somebody brought that up. I had a very extensive conversation yesterday, like just over everything as far as women's wrestling, and somebody brought that up. It's like, yeah, if you haven't heard anything about Evolution, and it's supposed to be in July.
Yep.
And here's the thing too with that. I feel like the first Evolution was kind of along the same lines. Like they did promotion, but it wasn't a lot of promotion. And if you read Becky Lynch's book, she talks about the backstage stuff that happened there. And it's just kind of like, I don't know. It's very odd, but
there wasn't much thought into it. Backstage. And also because and also because people didn't think Becky and Charlotte. People thought Becky and Charlotte was the main event, but it wasn't. It was Nikki and Ronda Rousey that was the main event. At the
Dylan, I said extensive, not expensive conversation. Extensive conversation. But let's get back into Backlash. So we also had the Intercontinental Championship match: Dominic Mysterio versus Penta. Dom came out for the win. Dirty Dom came out for the win. What do you think of this match?
I mean, it was a good match. I mean, obviously, you see the Judgment Day, they were gonna wreak havoc, but it was there. It's gonna lean closer to Dom versus Finn. Mm-hmm. It's just a matter of time on when they're gonna pull it. And also, this luchador El Grande came out during this match. I'm like, what is this guy doing out here screwing with Penta? So I don't even know what's gonna lead there. I guess they're probably gonna do a program with El Grande and Penta. Because I'm hoping Monday Night Raw Penta will be happy because he did get screwed out of the title.
Mm-hmm.
But we shall see on that. Yes, Dylan, it looks like he is a baby face. He's going to be a baby face soon, Dylan, Mr. Dirty Dom. But it's only a matter of time where him versus Finn.
Dom Corral's on fire.
He is. I mean, hey, he's the Intercontinental Champion. He's doing well. He's gonna be probably gloating about this tonight.
Oh yeah, no, it's so funny because when I was watching the match, and I remember when he debuted with his dad, it was kind of like, who knew? Because it's only been 3 years.
Yep, 3 years.
I mean, obviously, he grew up watching his dad, but he's doing really well. He really knows how to handle the crowd. But yeah, he comes out with the win. So what do you think is going to be? I feel like definitely you're right that El Grande and Penta are gonna have something. But what do you think is next for? So you said for Dom it'll be Finn and Dom, but I think before that, do you think that's going to lead up to Money in the Bank?
SummerSlam is going to be probably leading up to SummerSlam between those two.
Okay. Then we we talked about Pat. Then we had John Cena and Randy Orton for the WWE Championship match. What did you think of this?
I actually did think the match did what it had to do. Randy, of course, I much as I would love for Randy to win, he RKO'd pretty much everybody. Nick Aldis, security, R-Truth. I can't blame the man. He wants to be champion. But it was just very interesting with John because he had multiple attitude adjustments. Mm-hmm. And the match was getting going. It was just close to the end of the match. Was so weird because I was just like, you took out 2 referees.
Mm-hmm.
You took out security. It was a really good match. And it got everybody the seat. But it was just like, it's just the way that it ended. And like I said earlier, I didn't watch the entire press conference. I just watched that part with R-Truth. And R-Truth got the attitude adjustment during the press conference. But I want to see what R-Truth is going to have to say on Friday.
His childhood hero. So Bosa's saying it was a great match. It was 27 minutes and 50 seconds, which it didn't nothing feels as long when you're on the treadmill, I guess. But yeah, it was I feel like John couldn't win any other way Like obviously you couldn't have like a clean win and then you have the 2 refs and etc. So it's just kind of like it made sense because I was wondering how this was going to play out, and I felt like you couldn't do a clean win for that. And I can't remember if I said this on this show or when I said it, but I feel like they're going to run it back. I don't think this is going to be their last time.
No, I don't think so, because Randy, he'll probably be very furious on Friday. Well, he still has to have issues with Nick Aldis, because I'm sure Nick Aldis will probably get very furious or call him out to the ring. But I would not be surprised if they did run it back again. If it's not Saturday night's main event, maybe Money in the Bank.
Mm-hmm.
They could probably go for another round. And also, I still would keep R-Truth in that little bubble, because it's a possibility he's gonna have to go one-on-one with his childhood hero.
Man, that would be.
And I wish Will was on here, because he was talking about this yesterday on Kayfabe. They were talking about this last night.
Would that be a Money in the Bank match, or would that be just like a during the week match?
For this one, I don't think this has to be during the week. It has to be a PLE match. It has to be.
The hilarity of the, I don't know. You know why? Because I wonder like what direction R-Truth is gonna go. Like, would he be more like annoyed that his childhood hero is attacking him, and therefore it's not catching on, so it'll be a short match? Or would it be like a legitimate match where then it clicks? He's like, oh no, like he has beef with me and I don't know why. I don't know like how it's gonna, so that's why I'm thinking like it could be a PLE, but would it make sense being a PLE? Like, would we get what we like a clinic put on character wise? If it's just them going against each other, it's different because they're both vets. But character wise, do you think is it a PLE? Is it PLE worthy?
I think for this one in particular, it can be PLE worthy, because especially I'm thinking long-term storyline with this, and especially because R-Truth's been around the wrestling for so long. If you remember when he was with the Road Dogg and it was K-Quick, then of course he was in TNA for a little bit as Raw the Truth Killings. He came back to WWE, and also this is not the first time he faced off against John Cena.
Mm-hmm.
Faced off against him at Capital Punishment, and also really bringing it back. So I'm just thinking long-term storylines with this, and also with the fact that this is going to be an interesting character shift for him, seeing that my childhood hero gave me an attitude adjustment during the press conference. And then, of course, we'll probably see him interact with Big Jim on Friday, because he's been trying to warn him the last 2 weeks.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're right.
So I'm sure Big Jim will be popping in on SmackDown.
Yeah, I don't know how this is gonna play out. I'm curious though, but I am excited though, because anything R-Truth touches now is gold. And so that wraps up Backlash. So out of the PLEs so far, including WrestleMania, which one would you rank number one?
Oof, number one. I'd probably say Elimination Chamber, only because of John's heel turn, and also with Bianca Belair winning, putting on that cinematic when Jade Cargill beat Naomi, and she just put on an Oscar-worthy performance. But yeah, Elimination Chamber, especially with John's heel turn.
Yeah, that heel turn is that's what made it. Well, speaking of,
and also with the buzz that happened afterwards, it was on pretty much every single sports outlet. It was on ESPN. It was on First Take. It was almost everywhere.
It's like everybody knew about it. So speaking of John Cena, so this is the 20th year of his album, You Can't See Me, which is crazy to like crazy to think about, like that era. I've been working on a doc like that's meets hip hop meets wrestling for a little bit. So like just kind of seeing the progression of everything, and then you have this blip of John Cena, and then it kind of changed the scope of the acceptance of hip hop. So kind of what do you think about this? And were you one of the people who bought the album?
I actually didn't buy that album, but I actually did listen to some of the songs because I remember it was Monday Night Raw, Monday Night SmackDown, they were airing some of his raps on TV. I remember when they aired the music video Bad Bad Man, and also when he did the Battle of the Bands, it was John Cena versus Chris Jericho. That was memorable, but seeing this is John, and also influential in the hip hop world because he talks about this in many of his interviews, the contribution to hip hop, especially growing up in Boston, Massachusetts, and how it's been a glue to him. Even when he first started in WWE, just seeing a little bit of that crossover within hip hop. But it's definitely a memorable album. Even to this day, people are still listening to some of the bangers that he put out.
Sure. So let's talk about Night of Champions. So it's returning to Saudi Arabia on Saturday, June 28th. So is there, man, this year's going by way too quickly. As far as this one is concerned, because every time they've done Saudi feels like it's not necessarily playing into the arc of the WWE universe. It's kind of like an offshoot. So do you think that they're going to do that now, or do you think they're going to include it?
I don't want to see this as an offshoot because with the fact they're really trying to really get the crowd hyped because Royal Rumble is going to be in Saudi Arabia in 2026. So this is an opportunity to really, really get the crowd going. Obviously, of course, they're going to promote the Royal Rumble since it's going to be the first time one of the big four is going to be in Saudi. So that's going to be interesting too. But I'm also curious what the storylines are going to have because early June is Money in the Bank. And then you have the end of June, a Night of Champions. So it's kind of like, what championship matches are you going to have after Money in the Bank? I know they're trying to put in business with this partnership with them in Saudi, and also with the fact they're not doing Crown Jewel in Saudi. They're going to be doing it in Australia later this year. So I
find odd, like because they signed this contract and they're doing, was it 2 matches a year? And those matches were made for Saudi, and now they're moving Crown Jewel because didn't they build a whole museum or something for that title that Liv won?
They actually did a WWE experience right over there in Saudi, and the last time they were there, they actually showed shots of it. They showed shots of part of it actually is a really cool place. It's a very nice, cool place.
So then I guess that's my question. It's like, okay, so you created this place, and then I believe Triple H said that the belts were going to be staying there, but now you're having Crown Jewel somewhere else. So, I mean, Triple H can do whatever he wants, but I'm like, I thought those two were relegated to Saudi, like they were created for Saudi, therefore they're going to be in Saudi. But I guess there's the trade-off. If Saudi wants one of the big four, then they have to give up another one, I suppose.
Yeah, and also with the fact for some reason they're going to go internationally because it's Night of Champions in June, July, I don't even know what's going to happen with Revolution. August, you have SummerSlam. And then the end of August, you got to go to Paris because they have Clash in Paris. So, I mean, look, Triple H can do what he wants. TKO, they can do what they want, but they still have that deal for the next, I forget how long it's going to be, but I think
it was like 12. Was it like 12 years or something like that?
Yeah, like a 12-year contract.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. And I guess too, they have their American WWE has their American fans kind of on lock. So now why not go and try to, solidify, essentially get everybody else on board too. So it makes sense with that.
And also with the fact they're not doing King and Queen of the Ring this year.
I mean, there's somebody there with the plan. And even though we might not understand it, it definitely doesn't feel like at one point it's like, oh, what is WWE doing? It definitely doesn't feel like nothing's not planned. So it's just that we just don't know what it is. So it is what it is. But move on to Gigi. She's been announced to make her promotional debut June 14th at WR Cage Horrors. This will be her first independent match since 2020. We're in 2025. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And that marks her 30 days. And it looks like it's gonna be on Triller TV, so you can watch that too. Priscilla Kelly. So what do you think is gonna be after she makes this debut? What do you think is gonna be next for her?
Well, I think she is going to still be doing independent because this actually broke before we got on that she's going to be doing another independent called Blitzkrieg, which is in Connecticut on Saturday, June 28th. So it just broke out today on their Instagram channels, and she's going to be doing some work in the independent scene. And I'm really happy that Gigi is going back and really trying to, because Will probably do this better than I have, but I didn't watch Gigi in NXT, but I've seen some of her matches, and she is very solid. Jacob also had a lot of praise for her, but also just really reinventing herself, and also the advice that Matt Cardona gave to all the new releases, saying like you could either mope around with it, or you could take it and create an opportunity out of nothing.
Yeah. This is like the good thing when you come from the indies and you go into WWE, because then it's almost like riding a bike of some sort. Like you have the connections, certain people, so you can just make that play within the 30 or 90 days or however long, you have the clause for. But when you're like an athlete who comes from university and you don't know about the indie scene. I remember there's somebody in particular, I'm not going to say who the person was, but they got released from WWE. It was like quite some time ago. They got released from WWE, but they had been on WWE, period. They didn't do the indie scene. So when they got released, they had no idea, how to navigate it. So it's kind of good that if you do come from the indies and you want to continue wrestling, because there's some people who, if it's not WWE, then they're done. But if you want to continue wrestling, there's this whole, especially where we are right now, there's this whole indie scene. You can make money. Like I know people who, this is what they do, period. They don't do any other jobs. They don't have like a shoot job. They wrestle on the weekends, or they wrestle Thursday to Sunday, and that's how they make the money. That's how they pay their bills. So the indie scene is that popping right now, so that, it's good for her to like, why not? And on top of that, once you have formerly of WWE, your rate goes up.
Yep.
So congratulations to her, and we'll keep an eye out for her. So then we had AEW with the Family Guy crossover. You want to talk a little bit about this?
Yeah. Before I do that, because I know we didn't talk about Cora Jade because she got released, and this just broke a couple minutes ago. She will be wrestling. She will be returning to GCW.
What day?
June. So there's going to be a list of dates. So starting June 20th at Little Rock, Arkansas, July 5th at Hartford, Connecticut, July 11th, Dallas, Texas, July 19th, Coney Island, New York, and August 1st in Rutherford, New Jersey.
Damn.
Which happens to follow SummerSlam.
Like, book them busy. It's a good thing. It's good. It's good for her. Make that money.
Make the money. But going back to this, I actually took a chance to look at this because I believe Colt Cabana posted this, and his brother actually works within the Family Guy space. I don't know what position he does, but he works in that space. I did not watch the episode. I actually saw it float around on socials, but I'm very happy they are starting to cross over a bit onto mainstream a bit, and also with Excalibur really making an appearance. I'm sure he'll probably talk about this on Wednesday. I was just very surprised because there was not mention of it last week, which I'm very surprised because normally they would do a promo of a new episode, and it's like, I'm surprised they did not mention this. I mean, you mentioned about Beach Break this week, but you didn't mention about the crossover with Family Guy.
It's kind of funny because Family Guy. Would you say that Family Guy is like at odds with The Simpsons? Not at odds, but like it's kind of like The Simpsons is WWE and Family Guy is AEW, or do they fall into the same like bucket?
It's kind of hilarious because as a person that loves The Simpsons so much since the beginning, Family Guy came in, and it's very ironic because Sunday they had animation domination because it was like Family Guy and The Simpsons go head to head, and also with the fact The Simpsons and Family Guy did a crossover episode a few years ago. I mean, it's very interesting, and I really never thought of it that way, but people do love Family Guy. Shockingly enough, they do have a cult following,
right?
Especially with the creator. I don't know. I never saw it that way. Like
I feel like people. Yeah, I feel like people. They're like one or the other. Like you kind of. It's kind of like almost the same thing with AEW, WWE. I feel like you have people who will either watch one or the other, or people who will watch both, but they're more familiar with one over the other. So they might be more familiar with AEW, but they kind of dabble in WWE or vice versa. So the reason I'm asking is because it seems like The Simpsons has done a lot of WWE crossovers.
Yep.
And WWE is very territorial, even though like they're not. It's so funny when you think about it, because back in the day, WWE is very territorial and everybody knew about it. But now it's like WWE is doing it way more discreetly. So it's like certain things, the WWE ID program. If you read into that, that's, essentially we're trying to get rid of AEW very quietly. So I'm wondering with that,
it's kind of like
why.
It's kind of like the NFL, because if you saw the NFL draft, they had WWE stars, especially with the fact because one of your owners from AEW runs a football team. That could also create a conflict of interest, because I actually noticed that too, and I was like, that would be so cool if they did a crossover with NFL, but I guess I can't because WWE, they're doing a lot of stuff. That deal's
signed.
Yeah, it's already signed, and it kind of sucks, especially with the fact Tony Khan is part of an NFL team.
So, anyways, that was a little, if y'all have the answers, please let me know. But go and enjoy the show. With that being said, do you want to go into our WWE Raw lineup? There'll be no watch along today, but there will be a post show that Mayor's going to be heading. So do you want to take our lineup, Courtney, who we have?
Yes, we can. I can do that. Let me put this up because, Monday Night Raw, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We already got some matches scheduled from last episode. Of course, we have the women's champion Io Sky and Rhea Ripley taking on the Councilman's client Roxanne Perez and Julia. That's going to be a fun tag team. We're also going to see two people that know each other very well, and they were in New Japan together, part of the Bullet Club. AJ Styles versus Finn Balor. We're also going to hear from CM Punk. Very, very curious on what words he has to say after Seth Rollins, Paul Heyman, and this Braun Breaker alignment. We're also going to see Penta take on Chad Gable, which is very interesting because I'm sure we'll probably get a reference from El Grande Americano. And also going to get some tag team action between the War Raiders and the Creed brothers.
There it is for Raw. Like I said, you guys can check out our post show. Seth is in the streets currently, so he won't be able to do the watch along, but we will have a post show, so you can definitely check that out. Is there anything else that you want to talk about, Courtney, before we get out of here?
let me see. I'm trying to think. Did we capture everything? Oh, actually, John Cena, because they announced this on the local one in Boston. John Cena's last match will be this December at the TD Garden in Boston.
Oh, isn't he? No, wait. That's where he's from, right?
Yep, Boston, Massachusetts.
I wonder how is that going to play out? Is it going to be a heel or is it going to be a face?
It's going to be interesting. And I think Will probably said this too. Started off as heel, but I think they're going to want to make him a baby face before he officially hangs his boots.
It feels like a lot of time, but it also feels like a little bit of time. Like how do we go through this process from now till then? December, because then we would have did a Survivor Series.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it'll be the Rock? Like, is it the Rock gets so bad that he realizes he doesn't want to give his soul anymore? Like he wants to take his soul back?
He has to have it change points either way. And it's very interesting because Dylan put a point in there, and I didn't mention this for Backlash. They were actually chanting "Thank you, Cena" after his match with Randy, which is very interesting because a lot of things. Because he's still not just R-Truth. I would like for him to go one-on-one with CM Punk. I would love for him to go one-on-one with Joe Hendry somewhere down the line. It has to happen. Him versus Joe Hendry, and obviously him versus CM Punk has to run it back.
So how do we get alt? Because it's also too like he's not showing up every single week.
Yeah, that's the figure there. And also, I don't know if this is going to happen, but it would be nice to see him enter in the TNA zone, since technically they have a partnership with NXT.
Man, yeah, if he didn't have those limited dates, it'd be fun. That's kind of why I'm wondering, like, how are you going to do this? I mean, it's already planned, clearly, but how do we get there? Another thing that Bosa mentioned in the chat, which we did have, we couldn't announce it. So Jay Uso versus Logan Paul for the heavyweight championship, set for Saturday night's main event, happening in 2 weeks. Oh, not in 2 weeks. Yeah, in 2 weeks. At 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. So that's something too. But yeah, it's all cooking. I love it. I love seeing the storylines because, like I referenced before, there was a dark time where I was just like, I don't know, this is not it. Cousin Ron saying, I wonder if they do a marketing campaign surrounding Peacemaker too. Maria saying Cena needs to put over young talent. Here's the thing. Yes, he can, but also, and not to age shame, because that's not what it is. Also, too, he needs to make sure that, and it's not even an age thing. It's just make sure that whoever he's in the ring with, that he's safe. So, you want somebody that has like almost like equally yoked type situation. So, yeah, he could put over younger talent, but you also have to make sure that they're both going to be safe in the situation because of what his full-time job is, he can't afford to have an injury.
No.
So I think that's why the people that we see leading up to Boston are going to be very like curated for specific reasons for that. And yeah, you are right, Jeffrey. He has been putting over younger talent too. He's been taking all those L's. Actually, that's kind of leading up to why he decided to sell his soul. He was taking all those L's for so many years every time he did come back.
And he says he wants to ruin wrestling. And here we are.
A really great monologue, and I can't wait to hear it. But I just, I wonder how this is all gonna, or does he just end it with a FU and leaves as a heel?
I would not be shocked if it was a baby face. I would not be shocked. I mean, honestly, with a heel, but I think he's going to end his high note on a baby face. I mean, I just can't see it. And also, I know everybody's excited for the heel turn, but I could see him turning face probably at the end of his road.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens. With that being said, where can everybody find you? Where can everybody find you? Where can everybody find you?
The people can find me here chirping every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday here on WWT Live. Wednesday, I do my watch alongs for AEW Dynamite because we're surfing into beach break in Chicago, Illinois. It's going to be a jam-packed one. We did not talk about this earlier, but Mercedes Moné supposedly lost her New Japan Strong belt, but I'm curious on the aftermath. But she didn't get pinned. So I'm very curious on how the aftermath's going to flow with the match against my client Jamie Hager at Double or Nothing, and also with Tony. But we shall see on that. And it's going to be double duty because it's going to be double duty. Yeah. Well,
you're not here.
Yeah, you're not here. So I mean, hey, if you want to talk about it on Wednesday, we can talk about it on Wednesday. But also, it will be double duty because if you're a football fan, the NFL schedule comes out on Wednesday. So I'll be pulling off a double duty with Dynamite and also the NFL schedule. Feel free to follow me on @CourtneyNJ11 on Twitter and Instagram. As I mentioned, 90s Wrestling Con, there is content that we are going to put out. We are putting out the interview with Mark Henry. He was really great. He was a very game person. Talked about the partnership with All Caribbean Wrestling, what the 90s meant to him. Also, I had the chance to chat with the inaugural Bell to Bell Diamond Champion, Gabby Ortiz, where she talked about her experience, what Bell to Bell means to her, and when it comes to women empowerment. So feel free to be on the lookout for that this week.
There it is. Cedric saying the mayor has eyes everywhere. I guess he does.
That is true.
You, Cousin Ron, for enjoying. Thank you, everybody else, for enjoying. Thank you, Maria, for tuning in. Jeffrey, Bosa, Dylan, everybody in the chat. We appreciate you. Definitely check out our Raw post show with the mayor tonight. And then check out our NXT post show on Tuesday. And then we're going to be back again on Wednesday for WWT Live. With that being said, you can follow me everywhere at TK Trinidad. Make sure you check out Women's Wrestling Talk on all social media platforms at www.talkpod.com. We will be announcing, I know I said it last week for this week, but it should be up by Wednesday. We will be having a live SmackDown watch along event in Los Angeles on June 6th. So you definitely want to check that out. Also on Saturday for I forgot which Comic-Con it is, but Cedric will be there as well. So we're gonna be a little everywhere. And then we also have a really big project that's gonna be dropping that WWE is gonna be heading that will change the scope of women's wrestling. I'll put it there like that. So we're gonna be dropping that project in probably about 2 weeks or so. So you definitely want to keep it locked to Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. Ciao for now, y'all.
Thanks for joining WWT. Don't forget to like us on all social media platforms at WWTalkpod. Like and subscribe on all video and audio platforms, like yesterday, my G. And check out our website at www.talkpod.com. Thanks for watching Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling network on the planet.